Fingers crossed. Aha! Hello, everyone, and welcome to HoDiGa's. We are crossing our fingers today, hoping that that we're not plagued by the technical issues that were happening before, shall we say. So I'm absolutely crossing my fingers. So first of all, thank you all for joining us this evening, and all of you are coming in. We have Lady G with us tonight, and of course we have Dianne. We were look at this. We were expecting Lena, and here she is, like coming in.
Bonjour.
We can't say late.
Hola.
Oh my God, I was fluffing around getting ready, and one of my household has just tested positive for COVID.
No!
Yes. So he's been banned to the man cave at the back, and here I am.
Yikes.
So, but we're so glad that you're here today. Now, what I will just quickly say is, many of you will be wondering, why am I wearing this hat? And the reason why I'm wearing this hat is because you need to remember, of course, HoDiGa's goes out every Saturday, yeah. And I have literally just come from a Portuguese wine tasting festival with my friend Tara.
Oh, how young!
So this is
good luck
water,
with the
by the way. Yeah, this is just water, plain water. But we've literally tasted the whole country, and it was fabulous. And there was music, and there was food, and all sorts of bits and bobs. And
I thought you were doing a tribute to Harry Belafonte or something.
Do you know, I've never had one of these hats before. They were just giving them out. It was part of the free thing. And there is this delicious aperitif called per se, which I've just tried, which is like the Portuguese answer to Alparol Spritz, but it's much better, much more sophisticated.
Oh, wow.
All this kind of stuff. So before I introduce, or before I kind of do some shout outs and stuff to the audience today, in light of recent events, we all know what we're talking about. In light of recent events, I think we're going to deal with about 4 questions today. Okay. And the first 3 questions are going to be maybe somewhat lighter in nature. And of course, we all know what the last question is going to be about, isn't it? We all know, we all need to talk about that recent decision in Roe versus Wade and just the utter outrageousness. But I thought we would save that to last and just have a good slog.
I think that's a good formula. Yeah. Yes, let's go with that.
Slog on that, because it's just so incredibly important. And who do we have joining us here tonight? We have got Libra Lady, we've got Patricia Franzino, we have got Hawaii Bond, Paula Daiglis, we've got who else? Sharon Donnelly, Adrian, mother of, I don't know what that one is, Miss Brazil 1955, and so many more of you. I'm not going to diddle about too much with the electronics because we know of recent times I've been having slightly electrical issues. Yeah, a bit too much energy running through the aura. So we're going to keep it really simple. And I just want to do a few quick shout outs as well to Nelly, Stephen, Ruth, Angelique, Linda, who else? Laura, Crystal, and Doug. You know who you are. I don't need to say anymore. They're some clients of mine. I just want to give them a shout out. But let's begin in earnest. And so we're going to start lighter here. Now, this question has come in from Linda Light. And this is actually a question from last week, which I think we weren't able to do. And it's going to seem so flim-flam in comparison. Not
to what's happened. Yeah.
What happened? You know, everything has just been like...
Yes.
Anyway. But she wanted to ask, is there any information on Matt Gaetz and Jim Jordan? Remember them?
Yes, indeed. Good idea. Okay.
So let's do a bit of shuffle. And again, as usual, whoever's
Are we separating them?
Yeah. Why not? Why not?
Okay, so we'll just be quick.
Quickie spreads. Yeah, we can do quickie spreads on them. Maybe 3 to 5 cards. Quickie spreads. And then we'll go on to the next one, and then we'll leave the meat and vegetables, so to speak, for you know what. And Lena, I saw your little video that you put out where you almost spontaneously combusted with rage.
Whoops.
I don't know what to say. Do you know what I mean? I'm just like...
I was so angry. I was virtually spitting, you know, like they say, spitting with anger. And there, you know, what can you say?
So, as usual, whoever's ready to go first, just...
I can go.
Okay.
I know I'm always fastest.
No problem.
Okay.
Go for it, Dianne.
So I did them separately. So Matt Gaetz, Knight of Wands, he's in for some drastic changes. So not surprised, right? I mean, looking at everything that's going on with him, yeah, things are going to be changing in his life, but look, not for the better. Three of Swords, he's going to end up brokenhearted over this. There's heartache and heartbreak for him in store. And why? Well, his outcome card was the Judgment card because, you know, here he is getting caught up in the judicial system. But once again, you know, he did it to himself. That's how I look at it. Jim Jordan, you know, King of Pentacles. To me, this doesn't mean that he's like grounded and balanced and all that. I think it's more of he had some dealings with money that we're probably going to be finding out about, which leaves him sort of like in a struggle. You know, he gets the Five of Swords, a ruthless battle, abuse of power, asking, you know, was it worth it in the end? And his outcome is Three of Pentacles reversed. So those people that he thought he could count on that was going to help him, I don't think they're going to. You know, he's going to be sort of all by himself in this.
Wow. And Lady G or Lena, whichever of you are both ready to go.
I'll jump in here with Matt Gaetz. He's still got some secrets that he's holding close to his chest. And I think the Queen of Wands here is coming after his sorry ass, really not impressed. He's going to experience an unprecedented loss. I think it's sort of bigger than usual in the sense, because whatever he's hiding is going to make the situation worse. I think they're looking at various things like the trafficking of minors across state lines and stuff. The evidence is there, but there's going to be something else. Because that, to a certain extent, could, you know, boys will be boys, ha, 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 ha. Then there's this other killer revelation. So he's not looking good. Jim Jordan, justice is after him. And I'm not quite sure if this is legal wranglings or back to the wrestling episode with the boys. He's getting away with it now. And there's some confusion with the powers that be how to handle him. So I'm not quite sure of outcome. I thought I'd stop there. I think that they've got so much on their plate, but I don't think he's going to get away altogether.
Wow. All right. And Lady G, what do you have?
Well, Matt Gaetz, you know, we have his stuff, his spin and his drama and the things the things under the cover of night when it comes to his paramours, shall we say. Hopes and fears. He's hoping he will escape. We're hoping he doesn't. Okay. And then the outcome is more information is going to be coming out. So not looking good for Matt Gaetz.
Yeah, and we haven't heard the last of that story.
No, we have not heard the last. As far as Jim Jordan, things are being reevaluated.
Yeah.
Yes, the challenge is to put an end to him. His hopes and fears, he's hoped that somebody's going to save him and he'll stay, you know, large and in charge. But to outcome, tower moment for him.
Not good, not good. Well, thanks so much for that. Now, I just want to do a little shout out here because someone, now I'll just click them up. Bless you. And your name is Saiden and Hesarali. Bless. Look, I've probably utterly butchered your name, and you need to understand that I've got half a vineyard of Portugal swimming through. Anyway, but you know, the show must go on. Anyway, but she said, I never get acknowledged because of your name. It makes me so sad, but I still love you all. It's your channel. And so I just want to just click you up on there. You are acknowledged. You are
Yes.
welcome. Sometimes it's just luck of the draw when we're kind of scrolling through. So I want to say as well, thank you to everyone who is here. We really appreciate you. And if we don't read your name, it's nothing personal. Sometimes it's just not there on the run, or I see the name and someone's pulling the cards, because I don't want to interrupt that person's flow when they're going, because it's very important that they keep their stream of consciousness, and it's better to do it on my one. You know, it's better to chop up my one, if you know what I mean. But I just wanted to acknowledge you there. Okay, so first one, Matt Gaetz. Look at this. What do I get? I get the Hangman reversed. Yeah, so this is like, he's not going anywhere. He's in a state of limbo. Practically, he's in a state of limbo, and he's probably hoping that with all of the cray that's going on, with all of the big headlines, that he can sort of subtly kind of slip under the radar, so to speak. He is, here we got the Four of Pentacles reversed. He's really holding on. I think behind the scenes, he's trying to shore up his protection, his defenses, cover all of his bases, all of that kind of thing. And this is someone who's really holding on, but in that negative sense. And so he may be giving a confident picture, but he is worried about being unseated. And especially in regards to what? The money. Yeah, but here we are. This the darker money, or even the fool's gold. So I think he has been foolish and undisciplined. I mean, going around to people in Congress and showing them, oh, look at all my pictures of these ladies and all that kind of stuff, you know, not a clever idea. But it also shows to me, this also tells me there's quite a bit of dark money behind him. Whether or not, he will face the consequences, we'll have to see, because in many ways, it's been so momentous that he really is kind of small beer. Not to dismiss what he's done, but in the context of these historic times, he's not that big. Jim Dorgan, not sure what to do. Two of Swords reverse. He's like, oh my goodness. He's rushed ahead with things, but it's kind of backfired. But this is also shows viciousness and spite, and, you know, really not having maybe the best intentions. And he is actually quite an aggressive character. He's certainly be going after people. And look at this. I get the Three of Pentacles, but the right way up. So he's going to be looking for community support within the GOP to basically get him out. He's probably pulling on certain strings and looking to hustle up some kind of funds to sort of like help him out. And actually, when I did the Hanged Man for Matt Gaetz, it wasn't reversed. Of course, it is the natural way up. It's supposed to be upside down. So blame that on Portugal. All right. Anything else to add to that, ladies, before we move on to the next question?
No, it's right. Except a lot of expats are moving to Portugal. It's becoming a destination of choice for so many people.
I've seen that.
Yeah, who are trying to escape the chaos and filth, you know.
Yeah.
Can't blame them.
Of the USA or UK.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, you can have all the Portugal drinks and stuff, but I'll hold to the malasadas.
I mean, as many of you will know, I was actually in Portugal earlier this year, and it is a lovely place. Of course, it's not as super affordable as it was before, because there are so many people moving there, but the energy is wonderful. It really is. I just want to say a thank you as well to Hope Morissette for your donation, and to Edie as well for your donation, who I was in Portugal with.
I'd like to say hello to Edie too. Thank you.
Of course.
Yes, it's good to see her.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so question number 2. We'll do question number 2, and then I'll talk a little bit about what's been happening in the news, and then we'll get on to the bigger ones. So question number 2, gun reforms are passed, but will it be enough to reduce deaths? Because there's a weird thing that we know what's happened. Gun laws have been passed, and then we know what the Supreme Court has done, striking down laws in New York and all that stuff, which we'll get onto. But in terms of that overview, so the gun laws reforms are passed, but will it be enough to reduce deaths?
Will it be now?
What is this? Ooh. What to do?
It's
You ready to go, Lena? Yeah.
a bit puzzled by this. It's, to me, this is a false dawn. You know, they got the minimum across that could be got with these completely unreasonable people. And they're smiling now, thinking, oh, well, this will shut everyone up, you know, like. But as we know, whatever it is, and I don't know the fine print of it, but it isn't enough in my book, there is some relief for women here in the sense of, oh, thank God they've done something. But the Queen of Pentacles, who is sometimes Pelosi, sometimes otherwise, I think knows in her heart it's not enough, and there's going to be, I hate to say it, some other dreadful action that is going to point out it isn't enough. And the problem then is the ones who don't want to do anything will say, see, we passed these laws and this has happened. And so that's got to, it's sort of a test, an ordeal by fire in that way. And so those who support gun reform have to be able to stand there and say, no, it didn't go far enough. So there's going to be another round of arguments about it rather than being expressly helpful.
I got the same. And
Wow.
Yeah.
Who would like to go next, Dianne or Lady G? Perfect.
I can
Go for
yeah,
it.
I was like, it doesn't matter. So the first card I get is one of my cards for the U.S. And, you know, I think ultimately, you know, we're going to persevere. We're going to be okay, but it's a long road. We're not going to be okay for a while. You know, ultimately, it's okay. It's, you know, we're heading in the right direction, but honestly, all the cards I get are so slow.
Yes. And it has to be a cultural change, you know,
exactly
in the approach.
Right. And some people in this country just don't get it. So, you know, the obstacle is it leaves us feeling burdened and oppressed. You know, here we are still carrying the bundle of sticks in front of us and we can't see where we're going. And it's like an act of betrayal, 10 of Swords here. You know, it's like we're getting stabbed in the back. This wasn't really what we needed. I guess it was better than nothing, but it was sort of just next door to nothing. And then what the Supreme Court did wasn't particularly helpful because now you can carry the concealed weapons a lot easier. I know it changed the laws for my state. It wasn't just New York. I mean, this was actually a whole deal with the concealed weapons, where my state actually had very strict laws. And guess what? Now we don't. Very creepy, right? I mean, because I'm very much in a blue state, and you know, here in New England, we are basically blue for the most part, right? And we were protected, and now we're not. So this is not something that we would have voted for, you know. And so here's like the wheel of karma here, just spinning around and around, and we're going to have to meet our fate and destiny. And so change is coming. You know, it is spinning. But like you can see, these cards, these are very slow moving cards, you know?
Well, I have above it is, you know, our value system, America. And they feel like, yes, they've been betrayed, same cards. They want to see an end to this nonsense. Above it, it's going to take more government action, stronger action, because the hopes and fears are, you know, that the rich are still trying to rule and continuing with the drama. And we still have the tower moment with this. So I'm getting some of Lena's cards and Diane's cards as well.
Wow. Fascinating. And so the cards that I've got, so gun reform is a pass, but will it be enough to reduce deaths? Look at the card that I get. Death card.
Correct.
Literally as the first card, but reversed. And when the death card, when it's the right way up, we know that this can deal with changes, transformation, and rebirths and stuff like that. Not always literal death, but we know in this case it is literal death. But when it's reversed, it can also mean refusing to let go of something, refusing to let something die, you know, something from the past. And we've seen this literally with these, even though, like you said, these gun reforms have come in, it is next to nothing because there are these diehards that just refuse to let. I'm always thinking, you remember with, was it Charlton Heston or whatever, in my cold dead head?
Yes, that's right.
That, you know, and I was just like, oh my God. So it's almost like he's coming back from the grave to kind of rattle, you know, his last bit of I mean, not to speak badly of the dead. You know what I mean. You know, bless him. He's transitioned now, and I'm sure he regrets many of these things that he said. And, you know, in the obstacle position, look, we've got here the Five of Pentacles kind of reversed. Now, when I look at these two, it's so craven, it's so about money. And when the Five of Pentacles is reversed, it's not just about feeling shut out of the cold. It's almost feeling like you've hit the skids, you know, you are rummaging for money down the back of the sofa. And I just want to say thank you, Christopher, for your donation. So your donation. So it's almost like the gun lobby are holding on for fear of, like, if we don't maintain this status quo, we're going to be out in the cold. We're going to be broke. We're going to be poor. It doesn't even matter how many people die, as long as we get to hold on to our money and our things. Next card that comes out is the Queen of Wands reversed. And as I discussed before, this Queen of Wands tends to be organizing things, the grand organizer. And, you know, we've been talking a bit about Ginny Thomas, yeah? But when it's reversed, it can talk about spite. It can talk about, well, if I can't have it, then you can't have it. That kind of energy. And if you put it in the context of these three cards, it really starts to make sense, doesn't it? About the gun lobby, about this whole thing. That's their attitude. If we can't prosper, then no one can prosper. And they just don't care. Look at the next card that comes out, Queen of Pentacles. Again, money, wanting to look after their investments, seeing a return on their income, because of course the Queen of Pentacles is about that, holding the purse strings. So although they're awash in many ways with sales, people have been turning away a bit from the RNA and all that kind of stuff. So they're like, we want to keep that going. And then look at the final outcome, Six of Pentacles. Look how many pentacles have turned up.
Yes.
Just money, money, money. And really the way I interpret this is the gun lobby, again, for entertainment purposes only, putting what? Money into the hands of politicians, decision makers. Yeah. They're waiting, begging, you know, taking that money, and they're not autonomous, because this is the one who is generous enough to give. And I think there's some outrageous statistics that have come out of hundreds of millions.
Yes, one figure I saw was 250 million collectively, and that's double the wages bill for Congress.
Wow.
Extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. Anything else to add to that, ladies, before we move on to the next question? Brilliant. Okay, so I do a few more shout outs. So Jean Rogers, Lucky McLucky, Ava Morey. Sorry, scrolling down. What we got here? We've got Annalie Finch, we've got Christopher Guala, we've got Melody Lemonade, Gikanda Thomas, and I'll click up some of the comments as well, because I don't want to slow down.
Dina Donatelli in the comments here raises a good point that I'm hearing from my people and other sources and stuff too. They're angry at Biden because he won't add justices to the court. And as Dina said, you can bet the next Republican president will.
Absolutely.
Now, I think we should maybe look at that issue, because we all know the reason he's reluctant, which is, you know, when does this game end? Do you end up with, 28 justices or whatever? However, this is the Dem pattern, isn't it? Just doing the right thing, or how things are normally done. But so the question, will Biden add more justices? What do you think?
Shall we pull? Shall we do a one card pull on that each?
Yeah.
Let's do a one card pull on that each. Because as you know, you guys would have noticed I say very little about Biden now on my channel because I've spoken what I've spoken and people just do not like it. They do not like it when I speak truth in regards to Biden. So I'll just let the cards do the talking for me. I think he did make a very good speech about this overturning, which we're going to deal with at the end, but I'm just not going to even comment on anything else because unfortunately people just don't seem to be able to handle it, but I'll let the cards do the talking. All right, so Biden. I'm sorry to be a bit defensive on that, but it's true. Unfortunately, it's true.
I can go.
Yeah, sure.
Eight of Cups. I think this is him walking away from the issue, just washing his hands of it and moving on.
Wow.
Got looking at it and evaluating it, re-evaluating his positions with it.
Yeah. Lena?
And I get the justice card in the sense I think this could be a woman pushing for this, someone in Biden's ear pushing for it. But because we only pulled one card, we don't really know where he's going to go.
Yeah.
And the card that I've got is the Four of Cups reverse. He just doesn't like the options on the table.
Yes,
it's all unpleasant soup. It's all crow pie. Do you know what I mean? It's just...
I don't know the answer to this, but is part of the reluctance getting them through the nomination process? That would be a nightmare now, I suppose.
True. Yeah. I mean, if nothing, it would just be nice if he set term limits. Make it so it's not for life.
Yeah.
I think everything has to be looked at after this because God help America. Yeah,
that's what they really need to do. They really need to change that where it's not for life like that. It's just horrible.
Yeah. And also as well, what I would say as well, like, for goodness sake, surely there needs to be a code of ethics there.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing they need because they haven't got one. Yes.
Oh, no.
No code
they
of
never
ethics.
told us that in school.
I know. Isn't it like that?
They skipped
lifetime appointment, no code of ethics. It's just like, really?
Recipe for disaster. And I think if nothing else, that's what the Trump era has shown. What we thought of as laws and stuff were often just gentlemen's handshake agreements. You rattle the cage and they fall over.
Yeah. There's so much to discuss, and it's just extraordinary. But so there's that, and that's all I'm saying. I'm letting the cards speak for me because I've spoken already on that, and I think really in many ways I've actually been vindicated. What I would say is, just from the outside looking in, and I'm sure Lena would agree, and everyone who's watching here, we are in radical historic times, and it requires radical historic action, and there can't be any of this getting the feather duster out and trying to tickle the psychotic opposition into some state of rationality. It's that time is over, and if they don't recognize that, then anyway, I don't even want to say anymore because we can deal with that at the end. All right, let's get to our penultimate question, and before we dive into the Roe versus Wade. So this one here is now many of you watching this may know this already, and many of the panel, but I'll just state it again. So Russia, there's been satellite evidence of Russia stealing Ukrainian grain and then selling it on the world.
Just turn my phone on.
Sin, scandal. It's almost ringing that bell of shame. Do you remember from what is it, Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones.
Shame. So, but yes, so basically, it's not even allegedly, they've got this satellite evidence that Russia is stealing grain from the Ukraine and selling it on the international markets, and apparently selling it to those countries that are desperately in need so that they won't be against Russia. They'll be on the, he's literally using it as a kind of a weapon / bribe. So I put here, so is Vladimir Putin weaponizing food? And we've got over 1,000 of us with you tonight as well.
Hi, everybody.
So thank
Hello,
you.
hello.
Yes.
Vladimir Putin, is he weaponizing food? I mean, this man is just the douchebag of the absolute douchebags. I'm sorry, for entertainment purposes only. But when you got Planet Pluto, who's like, I don't even know what to do with him. That you just
Yes.
Putin weaponizing food. Putin weaponizing food. Putin. And he does seem to be making gains as well, unfortunately, in the Donbass. Because remember, he's got to be able to say something, hasn't he? He's got to be able to say he's won something. Ooh.
So I can go.
Go for it.
4 of Swords. I think this is him withholding that food. Because this is a card of like pulling back, retreating, withdrawal. I think this is literally the food. He's pulling it in, he's taking it. Look at the obstacle, though. I mean, it actually, I pulled 4 cards, and 3 of the 4 are major arcana. Oh, so you get the death card too, right? So there's going to be some serious consequences with this. I think it's not going to pan out well for these poor countries, I think. Kind of stalling things, stalling the progress, stalling what they need. I'm thinking maybe they won't get it in time, some of these people. But then look at the final card, the Justice card. So as upsetting as it is, I'm thinking justice will finally come. I mean, I've never seen Putin making it very long, so the justice could be very strange in this case. It may not be a legal sort of justice, but maybe like a karmic justice.
Fascinating. And out of Lena and Lady G, which of you are ready to go?
Lady G, do you want to?
Okay, well, I see that he's taking the hard line with this. Again, slice and dice, whatever he can do. Looking for his ship to come in, and the challenge is
quite literally.
Yes, and the challenge is justice. So going forward, we have Mother Russia, and he's lining his pockets as much as he can. Hopes and fears that people don't catch on. That he can continue to bamboozle the Russian people from seeing. And the outcome is, dark money. So, yeah, he's weaponizing it.
Yeah, selling it. Lena, what do you have?
Yeah, I think it's a race against time in this going on here, but also they're not quite sure who to give what to when, like within the behind the scenes of the machinations of Russia. Some are saying, do this country and because we need them for this, and do that country. So I think there's political fights behind the scene. The race is the death of children, because they're always the most vulnerable in famine for obvious reasons. And I saw somewhere, I think it's 400 million people or something are dependent on grain from Russia and Ukraine. So we're talking hundreds of millions of people. But I've got the walking away. So I'm not sure what that means. He might end up walking away from his commitments to those countries and using the grain in Russia so people aren't hungry. Or he could be walking away from the conflict and just throwing out the first 3 or 4 that come off the rank, But I don't think he's entirely sure. And the other reason I'd like to just jump in here, that there's so much conflict, he's not a well man. We know that.
Right.
So there's nothing worse than a really ill tyrant. you know.
Yeah.
So they're not sure how to handle him, what to tell him, what to not tell him, you know.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
Yeah. It's just, and he's just, like when I was having a dream about Putin and stuff like that, and like when I was tuning with the planets and, you know, they were coming through and they were basically indicating to me, they said he is beyond. They said it's, you know, like when we go into state of meditation, there can be the void and how spirituality and whatever can come into that. They said he's beyond that. They were showing me he's like a black hole that is not even light can escape. It's this, it's so full of destruction and oblivion. That is the word. It's this oblivion that he has. He doesn't even care anymore about the yachts, the money, the what.
No.
I still believe that he is technically, well, not technically, secretly one of the richest men in the world and has been for the longest time.
Yeah.
I think he still looks at people like Jeff Bezos and stuff like that and goes, no.
Yes, that's right.
He's become a titan. He you know, he compares himself to, you know, to Peter the Great and of course Catherine the Great as well, you know, behind closed doors. You know, I'm sure there's a little tiara somewhere, but anyway,
that's another
purposes only. Let me get on with my cards before I digress too much and, you know, but anyway, so here we are. Here is Putinshka, sitting there, you know, now, on a funny level, like this, of course, the card means battling on. Yeah, it's the 9 of Wands, battling on. But it can mean feeling overwhelmed. Yeah, it can mean feeling overwhelmed. However, when we look in the obstacle position, and we've been talking about the oligarchy and stuff like that, we've got the 9 of Cups, which is the smug merchant. Isn't this interesting? Maybe Putin was feeling overwhelmed by how things were going in Ukraine, not going his way, and he's decided, maybe while all that grain is sitting there, I may as well make a buck because
that's how he thinks.
Right.
Right.
You see how he thinks? It's like, I can't win. I'm feeling overwhelmed. So you know what? I'm going to steal that money. I'm going to steal that grain. I'm going to flog it. Look what turns up as the next card, the Empress card, which for me is always Mother Russia. But look, here it's reversed. And when the card is the right way up, we know it deals with generosity, creativity, fecundity. But when it's reversed, it's what? Barren. So in a way, it's almost like he is like, you know what? I'm going to flog this stuff because my ideas and my approach is barren. It's not really yielding any results. It's just yielding death. But that grain I can sell. I can be the smug merchant in that case. And then look at the card that we get. We get the Magician here. So he's using every tool in the book. He knows that he can't win in terms of taking over Kiev. Like I was saying, when Mars was exalted, something would come to an end. And I said he would leave his full-on assault of Kiev and then move to the Donbass, which he's done. And now he's putting every single resource he can into that. But of course, the Magician too is also about what? Manipulation. He's getting the ships to switch off their GPS location systems, dock in there, and then switch them back on again. And when we look at the outcome card, look at this. It's the Lovers. And the Lovers is all about what? Relationships. It can deal with business and trade. So you can see here, he's moving heaven and earth to basically sell as much of that grain as he can. The scoundrel, shameless. Oh, I don't even want to go on anymore. But ladies, do you want to add anything to that before we get on to the last section?
No.
All right. Here we are. They say save the best for last, but of course this is not the best. And we have 1500 with us tonight. So thank you guys for joining us. Let's just discuss it. Roe versus Wade has been torn down, attacked, chewed up and mauled by some wild beast of iniquity and cruelty that is masquerading as the Supreme Court. So just before we even pull cards on that, what are your thoughts, ladies, about this in particular? 3 women on the panel. What are your thoughts? So Dianne, maybe you go first.
Well, first of all, I think it was bound to happen. I wasn't surprised.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it also needed to happen. You know, for my members today, I channeled Archangel Uriel. And one of the things he said was, any half-truths that a society is currently living in will be challenged and reformed. And so we're sort of pretending like women have full equal rights in our society, but they don't. It's kind of a half-truth. And so I think that this is an ends to a means. Even though it's very difficult and painful, it's going to lead to reform, right? It's a catalyst for change because we weren't changing as a country. Everything was staying the same and it was broken.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I know it's awful and people are going to suffer in the meantime, when everything is said and done, I think it's going to actually cause us to be more balanced and fair. Because now we have to address it. Just like we have to address the Supreme Court. There's no looking the other way because it's been thrown in our face. Now we have to do something about this. And maybe we need to provide health care for women. Maybe we need to have affordable daycare. Maybe we need to change how we do child support, things like this. I think it's going to actually be positive in the long run.
Fascinating. Lady G, what are your thoughts? Just as a woman, how you just feel about it? What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts on this, I've seen that this is the rise of, the uber right, and it's going through the courts now, but it's the rise of Antichrist. You know, I see Antichrist as a movement, not as a specific person.
Wow.
And so now we have this big division happening. And so what do we see in the evangelical, what I call the evil angel brigade of Christianity? Yes, of Christianity. Whether they're preaching prosperity, preachings, and everything that was, you know, really the opposite of what Christ was talking about. And so we see it now filtering through the court. So it's, again, like Dianne said, it's awakening us to what's going on. Those of us that, you know, it says if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, see the rise of this division happening, and we need to really get serious with this stuff.
Yeah. And Lena, what do you have to say? Go full vent.
Well, there's not enough time in the day, is there, to unleash me on this? I think, but look, this is going to raise other issues in connection with this. So one of the things I find horrifying is many states in America don't have a minimum age for marriage. You only need your parents' permission. So I think we're going to see forced child marriages that if they were in other parts of the world, we would be horrified. And so it's going to highlight even more of the inequality and the atrocities that are, because we've got to, when it's not that this channel or any other channel is down on Christians per se. The problem is fundamentalism, which is what you were saying, Lady G. No matter what its complexion, it's fundamentalism.
Right.
And I think this has to be highlighted at this time in this era, because what's next? Are they going to take the vote off women? That's obviously down the line too. You know, it's only been around for 100 years. Get rid of that. They have no flaw. And however ghastly any issue is, they can get worse. So this is the call to arms for America. I'm like Diana. I'm glad it happened. It's out there. Now it's up to every American to get out and vote in the midterms.
Yeah, absolutely. I just have to turn this down here.
But I think too, it's going to cause people that maybe wouldn't have voted in the past. It's going to make them vote.
Let's hope.
People are going to come out of the woodwork, and I think it's going to actually be positive with the midterms for us.
Indeed. One moment. I'm just saying, my friend Tara was just asking me if I got home okay. Yes, home.
Yes. And in the comments, someone was saying there's a lot of GOP candidates who aren't happy at this revelation. They thought it would be after the midterms. So they're not actually happy. Yes, no, that's right.
So we're on our own now.
Yeah, that's okay. Sonia in the comments, I know you've been saying, please look at China, please look at China, but because today we've only got a short amount of time left, but we'll ask Hogarth to put it as a priority maybe next week to talk about China.
Right. And remember, like, he puts it in his community tab ahead of time, and you can put your questions there before the show. You know,
Yeah, we don't usually pick questions that people are scrolling during the midst of it. They've already got questions that they're going to ask. So
Lama Bryant's saying it's not fundamentalism, it's fascism. I would say it's both. I think ideologically it is coming from a fundamentalist space, taking things back to the literal word of the Bible. That is fundamentalism.
Yep.
And it comes out as fascism by insisting everyone lives by it.
Exactly. Absolutely. Exactly.
So that's how I see them working in tandem.
I agree.
Yeah. You're back, Hogue.
I'm back. Sorry, guys. As you can imagine, there's been lots of wonderful cultural stuff that I've been enjoying. The fruits of Portugal. So, okay. So, I mean, what I want to say is, first of all, as everyone knows, I really do genuinely love America and I want the best for it. My grandfather was American, and many British people from all stripes and backgrounds and persuasions and whatever often have a connection with the States, with America. And I've said it before, but I want to say it again. For me, in some ways, it's like watching a dearly loved relative have a mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical breakdown in front of my eyes. And it's like that person, it's like they need to be sectioned. One thing that I'll share with you is that my mother actually suffered a lot from mental health issues. She actually suffered from schizophrenia when she was alive and stuff like that. And I've seen times where she has been taken by the authorities and sectioned, for her own good. And it's almost like for much of the world, this feeling of helplessness, just watching this happen. What's also frustrating as well is that really, I mean, not to, excuse the pun, but it's been on the cards for so long.
Yeah.
It's this slow motion kind of
horror. The thing is, too, America, as we talk and think about it, and for those of you who live there, is a very young country. It's like white Australia. It's a very young country. This is teenage stuff. And as a country, people have to fight for what they believe in. And most people who are born to what we think of as secure democracies, you think it doesn't matter if I vote, not vote, it'll be all right, something will work out in the end, and taking that precious vote for granted. So it's such an important, absolutely vital time to stem this tide, because it's roaring fascism. That's what it is. It's not getting a little bit conservative, bit narrow, a bit whatever. This is full blown fascism.
Yeah.
And it's not even America. And
it's Old Testament. Do you know what I mean?
Old Testament. Yes. If there were New Testament Christians, this wouldn't be this situation. But also the primary separation of church and state. That was the foundation of America.
Yeah.
And it's amazing reading some of the things on the founding fathers that I've only done recently. They were so out there saying that. So it was the freedom of religion and the freedom from religion.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the foundation.
Absolutely. And I'm just looking at all of this stuff and I'm just like, what is going on? Did they just watch the Handmaid's Tale series and just go, yeah, that's our murder. Bring out the red caps, Red Riding Hood for everyone.
Absolutely.
It's just astonishing, and it's very interesting if you were to see some of the reactions in the UK media. I can't speak for other media, but literally UK media, particularly female correspondents, are just like, our brains are being fried right now. And they're like, oh, wait a minute. So the life of the unborn child that may be only 10 minutes old has this right to be born, irrespective of whether the mother wants her or not, irrespective of if that woman has actually been sexually assaulted or, God forbid, you know, incest. She has to bring that child to term, and it's all about the right of life. Yet you can have Evolde, where children are literally
children are then being blown away,
decapitated by automatic assault rifles, but yet somehow their lives are not so important. Yet if a woman wants to even take a pill or just be like, I can't afford this child, it's not appropriate for this child, I don't want this child because I feel like I'm either going to kill myself or I need to get away, or do you know, whatever, somehow that holds precedent. But where are the supports? Where
they
is
don't
the
even
money?
want to give free school lunches.
No,
they don't care about
fight
children.
over that.
They do not care about children.
They've had women that were serving the lunches that gave them something that didn't have anything, and they get fired.
They get fired if you get
they get fired because they give a starving child something to eat when they don't have money.
It's surreal, and it's they're very blatant. So it's like this has been a drift to the right for 30 or 40 years. Drift. Now it's like, look at this. You have to. And my biggest fear is people are so burnt out after 5 years of Trump. I'm really worried about that feeling of helplessness and paralysis and what we do. It's really essential. Get in touch with like-minded people. This is a mental health issue in itself. And act. Find some way to be part of the change. Because anyone who's traumatized too or depressed, you don't look up and you don't look out. And this is a time where it's really important to look at a better America and have that as the goal, not just defeating the beast, not just hiding from the beast, changing the beast, taking it on, laughing in its face and voting.
And if I may interject with a little bit of astrological weather. Now, I said in one of my videos earlier on this week, and I was talking about the rise of Pluto. As you know, I've been banging on about for ages. And when I tune in with the planets and stuff like that, everyone knows about the Mercury retrograde, and the second most famous is probably the Saturn return. We've all heard of Saturn return. When you're 28, 29, you start feeling like, oh my God, I need to become an adult, a grown-up, etc., and all this kind of stuff. And as you know, I look at countries and their celestial charts and stuff like that, and what I've concluded is that Pluto is the equivalent of the Saturn return, but for countries. This is America's first. Now, Lena, as Lena has said, you know, America is a relatively young country. We might not think coming on to 200 years and stuff like that is not particularly young.
Oh, it's a blink of human history.
Exactly. And like you were talking about white Australia, of course, as we know, is ancient. But, you know, white Australia, of course, is much younger. And to put this into perspective, since the building of Westminster Abbey in the United Kingdom, which is over 1,000 years old, we've had 4 Pluto returns in that time.
This is what I mean. This is America's first.
This is America's first one. It's like going into your first birth. You know, you don't know what's quite going to happen. You think, oh, will I get through it? Do you know what I mean? And we see this as well at the level of the consciousness, the immaturity. You know, they were talking to one woman who was holding this picket who was what's the word? Pro-life. Yeah. And again, I don't want to criticize people for their perspectives and stuff like that. And a British journalist went up to her and said, look, you're holding this thing. And he said to her, what if a woman or a girl is actually, this is a result of rape or incest. And she said, no, that child hasn't done anything wrong. You need to kill the rapist.
Right.
Really, that's going to happen. Yeah. Where are the castration pills, everyone? Because as far as I'm aware, castration pills have not been invented yet. Do you know what I mean? They used to kind of actually, that's not quite true. Once upon a time, if you were a friend of Dorothy.
Yes. There is a chemical cocktail, which is chemical castration they use for serious child offenders. But again, there's nothing. Oh, it's so huge. It's so huge.
You know, can I just add that, you know, if anybody's in a difficult situation and they realize it right away, I don't know, do you guys have Amazon? I don't know, like, does everybody have Amazon?
The world, love. Yes.
Okay, so everybody has Amazon. Okay, so here are the States, you know, we all have Amazon and we rely upon it. You can get the morning after pill in any state in Amazon, through Amazon, and have it delivered to your house without a prescription. So keep that in mind, you know, if this affects you or anybody you know.
That's a good bit of practical advice.
Absolutely.
You know, you have to do it within 3 days.
Yes,
but,
yes.
And the other thing, too, that you have to remember is it doesn't affect all women equally. So it really affects poor women. That's what this actually hurts, right? Because if you have money, you can come to here to New England and get, you know, an abortion.
Yes.
But you have to be able to afford it. So it really was to slam the poorer women, the women that didn't have the money to travel and, you know, to hop onto a plane or maybe had access to a car and that sort of thing. You know, it didn't affect all women equally. Like, it actually changed nothing, you know, for a lot of us. You know, but I'm assuming that, you know, we'll have more women coming, but it's really just going to be certain women, isn't it?
Wow.
Absolutely.
They won't all be able to afford it.
And also as well, it's not even going to be women. It's going to be a lot of girls. And you know,
exactly.
as well, from this as well, because as you know, I've been banging on about the eclipses, of course, and the first eclipse of the new season talks about the theme of the next 18 months. And that eclipse happened in Aries, but it happened in Bharani, the female reproductive system, where it's not just women here as well. It's girls. It's girls.
Young girls.
Yeah,
absolutely. And you know what? With the psychology that's around now, this is actually going to embolden a lot of men, and they're going to be like, you know what, I can sexually assault you and you need to bear my kid. You know, you can imagine just the psychology. The psychology is astonishing. It's one of the most cruelest, regressive, utterly disgusting, regressive laws that has been passed in recent times.
It's breathtaking in its Fred Flintstone dimensions.
Absolutely. And I think even the Taliban have been probably even aghast. And
you mean they're coming onto our side? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, as a friend pointed out in Indonesia, because it's always about, if you're oppressive on abortion, you're oppressive on contraception too. It's a counterintuitive thing. And Indonesia, 8th biggest Muslim country in the world, is very progressive with good reproductive health for women. Yeah. Top notch, and it's free.
Astonishing, isn't it? Just astonishing. So we pull some cards because the time, of course, has leapt through. We are coming up to 1,300 of you joining us this evening. So thank you very much, everyone. I hope you've been enjoying the debates. And we had to leave this to last because it is such historic. The ramifications. One show is not enough. One show.
No. And one comment, I love this from Ceci. The birth certificates from now on will say Father, the Republican Party.
Right.
So what are we reading on now?
Let's read on what will be the outcome of this. Let's just see what we get. And I know we're going to run over a bit, but in this case, I think that's valid. What just will be the outcome of all of this? Spirit, what can you tell us? The outcome of this Roe versus Wade overturn.
All right, so I can go. I'm all set. So the first card I get, no surprise, 7 of Swords. you know, okay, they got away with it, right? They were able to do it. But look at what the obstacle is. You know, the devil, right? The card of sin and greed, and you know, I'm sure there was lots of money behind this. It's not just something simple. It's a very complicated issue, isn't it? But look at the outcome. You know, I get the sun, and for me, this is a card of enlightenment and new beginnings. And so I think even though that this is like really painful for us to go through, it was just necessary, and we're going to have more freedoms, I think, when everything is said and done. Things will be fixed ultimately.
Yeah, because it's interesting, isn't it? When any generation goes through a huge thing, whether it's the Depression, the war, or this, I think young Americans will be very different on the other side of this election.
Yeah, I think so too.
And it'll get out the young voters, right?
Yeah. What I've got is, you know, this is going to strengthen us as a people. The challenge is now the things that are being juggled. Hopes and fears is for America, for what we're going to have going forward. The outcome is the hangman, and I wanted to get clarification on that. That's going to get cut. The things that are kind of hanging now, and this idea of seeing things kind of in an upside down way that the uglies are doing, that's going to get cut.
Lena,
I think they rushed at this. This is the bull in the china shop. For whatever reason, they decided it was a good idea. But now they're assessing this, and everyone in America is assessing this now. People who didn't even have an opinion before are assessing this now. It's a very big thing. Piece by piece by piece, I think people will put the story together, because it says, we were just talking before, it starts with one thing and then another and another and another and another, that they're going to try and, you know, change the shape and culture of America. But it's not going to work, because I think the Queen of Cups is going to turn up, you know, and she is the motherly queen, the nurturing, the pure energy of the feminine principle coming forward. And that, of course, is nurturing men who aren't macho psychopaths, right? So this is really important.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I want to say thank you to everyone who is donating. We really appreciate that. And of course,
you've been great, guys.
I spread those proceeds with the ladies as well. Okay. So what do I have here? And you know, just to kind of bring this thing to a close, and you know, you can sense, everyone can sense our passion about this topic. It's not an understatement to say this is one of the most significant historical things to happen in a so-called first world country. I think they would have even, do you know what I mean? There are certain countries that are far more what would be considered regressive by Western standards that would really hesitate to make moves like this. They are referencing from the 1800s. This is it's nothing to do with children. It's about using women's bodies against them and basically emboldening men to kind of
behave badly and cruelly.
Right.
Yeah, it's dreadful.
It's absolutely horrendous. So the cards that I've got here is the Two of Pentacles. So look at them. They're shifty, you know what, juggling all of this, trying to balance it all out. And they're like, you know what, I think, you know, with the timings as things are, we can sort of like get away with this stuff. And this is all about hustling as well, conniving, particularly when it's reversed, doing all these machinations behind the scenes. In the obstacle position, if we look here, we have got the Eight of, and that was the Two of Pentacles, by the way. We have got the Eight of Wands. What's the Eight of Wands all about? The Eight of Wands is about things moving far forward, moving quickly at a pace. But look, it's come in the obstacle position, so we can interpret it as the opposite. They want to turn things back, and they have literally turned things back. The Supreme Court is supposed to be an institution of temperance, of balance, and it so isn't. But could this be women stepping up. And I've said before, I said it will be women that will save the world. And I've said in earlier videos, this needs to be tackled on the same kind of scale as Black Lives Matter. It really needs to be on huge,
huge scale.
Balance. Five of Pentacles. Look at this. This is what women and girls feeling what? Out in the cold, ostracized, let down, not being supported. And like all of you ladies have said, it's the poorer ones that are going to suffer, because who can afford to fly? If you're from Louisiana or Missouri or wherever things are happening, what you're going to do? You're just going to fly up to New York and book yourself in. No, it's just not going to happen. Or even to try and take the, if you take the Greyhound, which I've used quite a lot actually for my experiences in America, it's going to take too long by the time you actually get there.
Anyway, exactly.
How can you take off the time of work? And then here, look at this. We've got the Nine of Pentacles reversed, which of course now the Nine of Pentacles can refer to the empowered woman, who has enough money and resources to do whatever it is she needs to do. But here it's reversed. So this can talk about corruption, the corruption of SCOTUS, but also, again, the disempowerment of women. What they've done is, what SCOTUS have done, and with the GOP and all of the cray-cray funny farm of all of these people, is they've done this to disempower women, so that they are not financially secure, so they have to rely on their husbands or whoever else for credit cards or whatever it is again. And this is what it's about. It's got nothing to do with children, which we all know. So I just had to get that off my chest. Anyway, the time's gone quick. Ladies, closing comments before we end the show.
Well, I'll just pick up on a few viewers' comments here. Janelle is saying that there are even some employers saying they will cover the cost if a woman needs to go somewhere else. I mean, this is radical. I'm sure they're not the majority, but the fact that even some organizations have done this, I think this is going to create all sorts of alliances actually between men and women, and between rich and poor, and across all sorts of divides, because it's never been just about abortion. It's about everything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's definitely not about the children, because they still haven't said anything about what we're going to implement to actually help the children once they're born, right? Because we don't care about the fact, that they exist once they're actually here. We just care about when they're a fetus, right? But I think that this is going to create a huge blue wave.
Yes. I mean,
that's the positive side, right? I mean, it is. I feel very hopeful about the midterm elections. I think things are going to change, but this is part of our growing pains, and it is painful, isn't it?
Massively painful.
Yeah. So all I can say is take a deep breath, relax. This too will pass. I know it's a difficult time that we're going through, and the energies are raising, and that means that the darkest side is getting more crazy because they can't take the light. So, just stay grounded and balanced as much as possible. Don't get yourself worked up to where you make yourself ill. Continue to go forward and look to the positivity of the things that can come out of this. And yes, we are in the dark time, the difficult time, but step by step, and we will make it through.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you for that. And I'll just quickly add, even though we are seeing Pluto doing his work, Saturn is retrograde, government, reviewing things, all of this kind of stuff. And Pluto is dropping that maggoty rat on the bed for all of us to look at. As I've described, really.
Diane's face.
God of the underworld, dredging it all up. What we also need to understand as well, there is a positive side to Pluto, which is transformation, transcendence, forgiveness, transmutation, turning lead into gold. As much as we feel that the dark is being empowered right now, what I want people to remember is that the light is being empowered too.
Exactly.
And that's why the darkness is going crazy, because it cannot take the light.
Yes.
Absolutely. So we light workers are getting more powerful as well. And this is really the time where it's that time to step up and almost love bomb the situation. Understand that we're seeing this cray because of the progresses that have been made. And now they're trying to put everyone in their box. And just to give some people a little bit of encouragement. Do you remember the mop? Yeah. Captain Butterfield, Boris Johnson. Guess what? He has just lost 2 landslide by-elections, and they've had an absolute lacking. The Tories have had an absolute whipping, and even though they say, well, it's only by-elections, listen, this guy doesn't have long. I've always said he's got about 3 months. I'll give him about 3 months. There's that. In the UK, a company called Tata Chemicals, which may not sound that auspicious, has become the first industrial company for carbon capture. Do you remember Pluto is also energy of all kinds?
Yes.
This is carbon capture, taking it out of the air and putting it in safe places. Also as well, Prince Charles recently gave a speech to talk about his regrets and the sadness and the sorrow in his heart for the legacy of slavery. Remember I was saying how Pluto also deals with things like slavery and all of that kind of stuff, bondage, exploitation. So there are moves that are happening. They're little things, but they're significant. Yes, the shadow is rising, but also this is also the time for the light. I want everyone to use that energy and understand this is about alchemy. It's about a birthing process. Barani is birthing new things. It also deals with consequences. We do have the January 6th commission that is changing opinions. How far? I'm going to reserve my judgment on that, but let's focus on the positive. And just understand that this is an alchemical process. Pluto is the last planet. He is tiny, but he is powerful. But let's not forget as well, he also deals with the phoenix rising from the ashes. He is also the eagle and the dove. So at the moment, we're seeing a lot of that scorpionic stuff. So let's just hope, not only hope for the best, but be proactive, support other women, protest
safely, but be heard. Put your voice out there. Find like-minded people. Everyone counts.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone.
We are only one. You join together. It is invincible. Each one can be pushed over, but join together, invincible.
Indeed. So thank you everyone for joining us. I think we had just over 1,300 in the end. Thank you to everyone who donated. As you know, I like to keep the show to an hour, but such extraordinary times we're in.
And we've only touched the surface.
Exactly. We're going to be talking about this next week and the week after. Mars actually comes into sidereal Aries tomorrow, which is what? Anger, heat, protest, violence. Unfortunately, there's going to be a lot here, but this is a birthing process. And understand that all of you light workers also have access to energy as well. And we can turn that lead into gold. So there we are. And I think we just have to kind of end it there. So thank you so much,
everybody.
Wonderful show. The time's gone. Thank you, Lady G. Thank you, Lena, so much. Thank you, Dianne. And Dianne, I don't think you'll be with us next week because I think it's July 4th celebrations, isn't it? Or something.
Yeah, I'm fireworks.
Exactly, fireworks.
I'm hoping there's going to be big protests on July 4th, but
we'll see. There's going to be a lot in the tank, so hold on to your underwear, everyone. Turn lead into gold, and we will see what happens. Thank you so much for joining us this week, and we will see you next week. So, all right, everyone, bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Ciao.